Hey, what's up everybody? Jonathan Thames here of Rosie and Ernie Productions, and welcome to the Multimedia Megafan channel. I'm here today to discuss the second spin-off film in the Conjuring universe, and that's the 2017 film Annabelle Creation. And I just want to start off by saying that I was way more impressed with this film than I was its predecessor, and thought it was overall a pretty enjoyable film. Unlike the first Annabelle movie, which if you haven't seen my review of that one yet, I thought it was pretty terrible and felt like it was extremely cheap. This one actually feels on par with the Conjuring films as far as adequate budget and overall production value. Now, having said that, the film still does have its issues, and it isn't nearly as well finessed or as well delivered as the Conjuring films in my opinion, but again, it's overall a much more enjoyable experience than Annabelle. This film actually received a much more serviceable budget of $15 million versus the first film's purposely low $6.5 million budget. And based on the results, I definitely say it was money well invested. The film is directed by David F. Sandberg, who also helmed the films Lights Out and Shazam, which I just reviewed for my DCEU series. And I think he did a pretty decent job with this one for the most part. The atmosphere created, again, does feel authentic, and on par with the tone of the Conjuring films in terms of the lighting, the coloring, the cinematography, and the performances by the cast. The film also features an effective musical score composed by Benjamin Wallfisch, who also provided the score for Shazam. This story is also much more fleshed out and provides a pretty fairly solid backstory to segue into the doll's arc within the previous films in the universe. This movie follows the story of the doll's creator, Samuel Mullins, and his wife Esther, played by Anthony LaPaglia and Miranda Otto, as they offer to house a displaced all-girl orphanage headed by Father Massey and Sister Charlotte after having lost their daughter due to a tragic accident 12 years prior. The story's central protagonist is Janice, a young girl from the orphanage who suffers from polio and who begins to experience strange occurrences after moving into the Mullins' house, being lured into the empty bedroom of their deceased daughter, which causes her to quickly believe that the house is haunted as she becomes the primary target of the demonic entity inhabiting the Annabelle doll. Again, I think the story was pretty decently executed overall, but I do have a bit of an issue with the Mullins' character's motivation as to why they'd agree to take in the orphanage. I mean, I'm not saying I don't necessarily buy it or don't agree with the concept, but I am saying that it seemed like, from a written standpoint, a little more thought should have been put into justifying the rationale behind the decision. I mean, I'm just not convinced that there was anything to justify their confidence that the house was safe enough to house the girls, especially to the point that they wouldn't have even considered the possibility that they were wrong in their assumption, and what to do about it if they were. I'll also say that whereas the atmosphere is overall very much so improved from the first film, there are still a lot of intended scare scenes that still come across as highly predictable and feel pretty generic, though there are some pretty decent effects at times. One scene in particular near the end really stands out in my mind in terms of very well applied practical effects. But the pacing in the movie overall feels a little off to me, which is mainly what I attribute to the issue of predictability and genericism. A lot of the parts in the movie that focus on the story development seem to drag on a bit in my opinion, while a good bit of the scenes that are intended to provide scares feel very impatiently paced and rushed, resulting in overused jump scare tactics. Now that being said, there were a few decently executed moments, and the scares were altogether majorly improved from the last film. The performances are pretty good all the way around in my opinion, though the strongest performances are easily the ones given by Anthony LaPaglia and Miranda Otto. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that there's anything that makes their performances stand out in any sort of tremendous fashion, or that these performances are among their very best by any means, but they are good, solid performances that service their roles well and the story told with their characters. Another mentionable performance is Tabitha Eliana Bateman, who plays Janice. I thought her performance actually came across as very sincere and that the fear and anxiety she expressed during the film's suspenseful moments felt genuine and believable. In conclusion, this movie is a major improvement upon the first Annabelle film, and serves as one of the rare sequels to far surpass its predecessor. I definitely wouldn't call it a masterpiece, even within its genre, but I definitely say that it is a fitting inclusion into the Conjuring film universe and holds up relatively well next to the other films. Overall, I give the movie a rating of 7 out of 10 and thought it was pretty decent. I definitely recommend it to those who are fans of the Conjuring film universe, and also to anyone who easily gets enjoyment out of these types of supernaturally based horror films. However, if you're looking for something that will absolutely scare the daylights out of you or give you thrills or scares that you've never experienced before, then I'd highly suggest that this is not likely the film for you. Annabelle Creation can currently be found streaming on HBO Max, so if you have a subscription and you'd like to go check it out after seeing this review, or if you've already seen this film, please come back and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. I hope that everybody out there is doing well. I want to thank everybody for watching this review, and I'll see everybody in the next video.